Padhu, how's it going?
Doing good. How are you?
You know more than we do. We know everything about the market and the buildings, but that's your specialty is what goes on inside. It's always enlightening to talk with folks in your world. And I'm excited that you came back and had enough time to spend with us to go over a couple different topics.
Absolutely, not a problem. It's happy to be here. And I think the same way. I know what is happening inside the building, but generally about the building and information about that, I'm also learning. It's mutual. That's how we learn, collaborate, and develop.
No doubt. And just a background for you, I was remembering you had mentioned Manhattan Associates. What was your experience there? You were there as long as I have been at Lee. I imagine you had a lot of project experience and a lot of client interaction. That's enough time to really develop an expertise.
It gives you a background as well. Currently, Chief Product Officer and founding team member at Project Verte. Been in this supply chain, e-commerce, retail industry for almost 23 plus years. Prior to Project Verte, I was with Manhattan Associates. I was part of multiple different teams at Manhattan. I started with implementation of warehouse management solutions at different retailers, then went back for a small stint to work on optimization and labor productivity tools, develop that as part of R&D, keeping the warehouse management integrated.
So Grant, Manhattan Associates is like a consulting practice.
It's a consulting as well as it produce software for retailers, the back-end retailer. So there are two parts. One is it produces the package, and there is a second part is a consulting practice, which basically takes the product, implements in all retailers or all distributors, providers, and matches to their requirements, and then enhances it. Then also, since it's an expert in supply chain, it also looks at multiple facilities. It's not within the facility as well, looks at multiple facility to find the best way to source an order and ship an order in the most cost effective. So it has a order management view, and it provides a full suite to also plan what inventory, where, how, and those are the aspects Manhattan focuses. If you think about the modern e-commerce scenario trend, both retailers and online shoppers. When I say retailers, I'm using the traditional brick and mortar retailers who are migrating online, and online retailers who always started the digital store front, and probably moving a little bit of retailers, all require that kind of an broader supply chain technology solutions to answering some basic questions. Where do I place my product? What should procure? And what is the best way to ship a product to a customers? Because in the traditional retailers world, the process is set. I take the product, source it from China or any other places. It comes to a certain hub. From there, it goes to a distribution center. From there, it goes to a store. The path was optimized, set, refined. All the real estate processes was designed and fine-tuned from that perspective. But coming digital online, the entire supply chain path is now changed. That's where I think the need was, and that's my journey at Manhattan. Same thing I'm trying to build as part of a different perspective, making more of a digital oriented, because most of the solutions were catered from a retailer's perspective, the brick and mortar, and adapting to them. But from a digital small brands perspective, who basically want to be online presence, and not everybody can afford an enterprise solution. At this point, what I'm doing is taking those experiences and then focusing on building enterprise solutions for all. So that's the aspect there we started. And just a quick background about me.
I feel like now is such an exciting time where enterprise solutions is widely diversified. Never has there been so much power at your fingertips as a business owner as you're trying to cobble resources together.
Correct.
I feel like within industrial real estate, it's become more mainstream for people to learn more about e-commerce, for people to start to conceptualize warehouse automation and robotics. And cold storage is now something that's becoming a bigger topic in the development community as we go to shopping online as well for groceries.
Correct.
I feel like that's where most people hear about the topics, but you had a couple different topics that really are in the weeds of all of those. Some of these like prescriptive supply chain, re-commerce and first mile. We all know last mile, right? That's finally something that we industrial brokers and developers are cognizant of. But I feel like first mile, unless you're in logistics, that's not something you're exposed to as much. Becoming aware of it as real estate brokers, helping our clients have a more holistic conversation. I feel like those are all great topics that you had brought up, and would be happy to delve into those as you like.
Absolutely, we can do it. I think the idea behind the project Verte itself is to cater to the need of, make it more relevant, which is the current need, and how we can help small, medium retailers to grow better. There are new innovation models also from shopping coming up. Example is a business model where people want to send products. If you're trying a shoe, you're getting 3 different sizes of the shoe. You try one and return 2. Traditionally, retailers thought returns as a pain that they didn't want to endure, but still they had a lot of returns. Although the effort was to make, how do I optimize returns? How do I reduce returns? How do I make my first delivery more streamlined and better? Which is still the case, but there are models itself which is basically forcing you to do some level of returns. That's where the re-commerce comes into play. Now your customers are becoming your suppliers as well, because in a returns model, you're going to pick up inventory from all your customers and then get it into the digital platform to make it available to sell immediately, because that is your model. Previously, returns was always a last step, like a no batch mode. I ship to you, I get it back. It may go to a return center, separate distribution centers dedicated for returns. The processing would take 5 days, 10 days. Nobody paid. That's okay, because I wanted, whether it's salvaged, it was okay to delay that processing. Now, with model changing, that's a big focus. Companies like ThreadUp, Postmark, there are many companies who are thriving on that returns business. So now I need to optimize where I get products from my suppliers, in this case customers, get as fast to an hub. From there, I get it to a center where I can resell it. And it has to happen so faster to get the maximum recovered profits on that.
Padhu, soon you're going to have the customer shipping it to the next customer.
That model is still like, if you think about eBay, so eBay as that model, it's blending of that model. It was a different context. One customer shipping to another customer, C2C. Now, how do you blend your business to business to commerce, and customer to customer into all one centralized platform? The key thing is a unified repository, because you need to have that visibility to make it more effectively planned. That's another thing we are doing at Project Word, where, going back to your comment about what we are doing, is the prescriptive supply chain, because it's humanly impossible to make that decision. The system, the technology, and you would have heard about machine learning, artificial intelligence, these terminology, because what it does is it enables the systems to make those decisions, so that you have a very efficient system or platform to monitor these business or execute these businesses. That's the idea behind it.
The inventory challenge is not just on new product. Now it's on returns. So I could imagine how one unified platform to keep track of all that is a minimum, maybe. And then from there, you can be empowered to then make better decisions.
Absolutely, right? Inventory is now becoming the concept. I'm not sure if you heard the word physical internet. That is something, it's coming up in a very bigger way. What it fundamentally says is, you as a consumer, when you go to Google and you type any research, you really don't know where the information is stored. You get the information, same concept where you really don't know where the inventory is. All you're doing is, I'm going to shop, or I'm going to request a product, either in the physical store or a digital store. I really don't have seamless view today. Same concept from a brand's perspective as well. I'm just sending to a centralized platform. It could be Amazon, it could be Walmart, it could be any platform providers. When I say platform providers, both from a commerce as well as technology, they basically store the inventory in many places. The system takes care of it. System is going to recommend based on a pattern. where the customer base is more, where it is economical to store the inventory. Then if one order comes from Nebraska and maybe California and all that area, it might be make sense to open a distribution center or find a distribution center in Reno, Nevada, factoring many other aspects, tax laws, labor laws, challenges, capacity, and you find and you store the inventory there based on the need. Say 80% of customers are satisfied. Now 20% of customers in the East Coast are ordering that product. It might be okay to ship the product from Reno, Nevada. Come the other way. If majority of our customers are on East Coast, it might make sense to have a facility in Atlanta. So all those decision making and all those things encapsulated from a brand or an end customer perspective, the providers with their system and their physical network make those decisions, distribute the inventory, and at some point you can only pour so much concrete as a own. So you need to work on a cooperation model where you work with network of providers and then you build an ecosystem of inventory and a platform and manage accordingly.
I could see your platform be something that you use yourself for your own business as much as you leverage it for customers can leverage it.
Absolutely. This is evolving. If you think about Verte as an entity, we are an operator. Think about what Verte is. We are an operator built. We have team of members who have been in the retail business, who have been in the technology, who have operated warehouses, who have been in the transportation. I come from technology. My CEO comes from retail business. My CEO comes from operating 3PL warehouses, and my SPO comes from transportation. My network partner comes from transportation. So building that ecosystem of stable technology or a robust technology, which enables to connect all the warehouses using technology, manage the inventory, ability to connect all the demand channels from an orders perspective. We have an underpinned by an artificial intelligence and blockchain framework to basically enabling the businesses, the small, medium retailers, to become smarter and more competitive. So that's the idea behind Verte. And all these things enables them to be fundamentally enabling the experience, connecting the digital experience to the physical experience. That's what Project Verte is.
Not to mention all of the technology that's taking place inside the warehouse that you don't see and that even your customers don't see or experience. That's part of where you get to help create the magic, which is the experience within the warehouse that helps make that possible.
I do the outer part as well into technology and inside the warehouse.
Tell me about this topic of sustainability and supply chain and influence of stores. What's that mean exactly?
Sustainability is a challenge today. Everybody wants to focus on sustainability, but it is easier said than done. Generally, what sustainability fundamentally from an overall business perspective is focusing on the environment, focusing on the economic, and also focusing on the social factors, focusing on all the three pillars very effectively. From a social perspective, we have to work with a group of companies or enable brands to work with a group of companies who are following all the labor laws, all the labor situations, enabling local job options, finding the right product, ethical sourcing. So providing a traceability of end-to-end. That way the business where their sourcing is traced. The second factor from an environment is how do we reduce the carbon footprint? We can build two ways. We can build big warehouses with energy efficiency methodology and packaging so that we have sustainable packages so that we are able to recycle them. That's one option. Alternatively, you can have, instead of gigantic warehouses, make it a decent distribution centers and have more smaller centers in urban areas where there's a maximum reach of the demand and create an urban spoke model. One big warehouse, you create multiple small, medium-sized warehouses and a smaller, denser fulfillment centers. Such a way that you replenish through a traditional urban spoke model in an efficient way. One time a drive from the DC to the store. And from there, you basically deliver through a last mile through maybe a bicycle ride or an efficient electric vehicles. More a sustainable practice so that the carbon footprint is reduced and it's environmentally friendly as well. Number one, it also ties back to social because now with retail stores shrinking, the employment shrinking from a retail store's perspective.
Yep.
These stores, which is urban, these fulfillment centers are probably getting converted to a dark store concept, is
Yep.
providing the employment in different way from a delivery perspective, from a
Yep.
processing perspective. So you're maintaining that social balance of work. The third is making it more economical for both the brands, the customers, and the sellers, because now what happens if somebody order a product, it goes to the DC, from there it goes to third-party carriers, it goes through an hub, it goes to 10 legs before it comes to you. So you are paying a huge from a shipping. Even the product is small, you're paying a huge shipping cost. It's not beneficial to the brand or to the end consumer. Now you optimize it such a way that you are reducing the shipping charge, because now you're consolidating and delivering to urban fulfillment centers. From there, you are delivering in a more modernized and a sustainable measure. So your transportation cost is coming down. So your overall logistics cost is coming down. So you're getting in better economic benefits as well. So that's all the aspect of sustainability comes in terms of environment, economic, and social, and tying them together with these sustainable urban practices, urban fulfillment centers or denser fulfillment centers or micro fulfillment centers, and also experience. Now with Amazon, everybody wants to have almost 2-hour delivery. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But not every product needs a 2-hour delivery, but that's the aspect of it. The platform data is critical because the prescriptive supply chain, the system will tell you what products needs to be where, which product is better and might be more applicable for a 2-hour delivery, and place those products nearer to the denser location. The products which can wait for 2-3 days, people are okay to, based on the pattern of data over a period. We have enough data. If you go to a retailer, they have been doing the business for 10-15 years. They have enough data. They know which product, which one is selling better. It's just that they're not able to tie the planning and execution effectively because it's all different systems. They talk to integration. They don't exchange seamlessly. Now bring all the data in one centralized platform. It knows exactly what's happening. System prescribes and provides a better data management to make those decisions. That's where I think the future is changing. The sustainable practices is enabling to be a better supply chain for the planet.
For you, Grant, you hear a lot of people talk about predictive analytics. So when Padhu says prescriptive, right, as opposed to predictive, predictive may tell you where you should put your inventory or where you may need to fulfill them, where prescriptive may provide you with the suggestions. Maybe you can unpack that a little bit, Padhu.
That's a good way of doing it. So basically there are 4 levels if you think about it. There are 4: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. And all these things is, if you take from a diagnostic or a descriptive perspective, all you're saying is, hey, what happened? Why did, what happened, when this happened, giving you a more detailed level of data. Example, an order is being shipped to a fulfillment center, they're not able to fulfill, there was an inventory damage or inventory shortage. That is more descriptive, describing what happened. The diagnostic is why it happened, how do I make it better, and then how do I plan it better. So now I'm expecting a shipment tomorrow, and then shipment, how do I plan better, what things happened before, how do I make it seamlessly operational, making it more what if scenarios, running through it, validating it. The next gradation level is the predictive, where I have data, I'm looking at finding the right methodology, I'm putting a strategy, and still there's a human factor involved in deciding how much to make, where to put it, and making a more combined decision-making capability with system data and system reporting. The broader aspect is a prescriptive, which basically looks at all the diagnostic data on a day-to-day basis, looks at descriptive what happened, because if historical information is getting built, looking at what is system is delivering you to predict what is going to happen and how it's going to happen, and then effectively making a decision in a more seamless manner, which is better from all aspects. That's where the prescriptive supply chain, because humanly it's impossible to think of every scenarios and every way to execute it. Let the system make the decision and system drive it. That world is moving towards. And that is already happening. An example would be most of your emails, Google, chain, how it recommends to you. They're predicting certain based on your patterns, right? But there are many other aspects which can automatically say, you need this product, and you automatically ship the product to you. If you think about like concept called Stitch Labs, which is basically they're building a subscription, but they are looking at your likes, they are looking at your other aspects, what happened, and then they're shipping you a package which is more suited for you, and this is what you needed.
Kind of like a subscription box, knowing where your past likes are, they generate it through that information.
I mean, it's one way. That's a business model where the company is still probably predicting it. I am going to sell this, but now if I tailor it, make it more personalized for you, I need to understand about you completely, right? And then basically delivering that to you, experience to you.
You're not doing that for one product and one customer. So that's a platform that you provide for multiple customers that all have their own different products that are all have their own specific customers.
Correct. That's a biggest aspect of it. So traditionally, each one would have different systems. You think about, you have your email, you have your Word documents, you have PDF, they're all in different places. They all have data, but they're not talking. If you bring all those information in one centralized platform, right? Let us take a use case. That's maybe easy to explain. You as a customer are shopping in Amazon. Similarly, Justin is also shopping in eBay, different marketplace, different type of products. I am shopping in Walmart. Now, in a traditional systems, these three don't talk, but all three may be shopping the same product. Different distributor, different aspects. So now all these three products probably going to different distributors, and then it's going to different manufacturer. I mean, probably say manufacturer, but the manufacturer has no visibility that, hey, it has been sold this way. I have sold three, but which one is much better? Justin always returns back. That means which one, who is the better customer now? So all those decision points, all those things, if it's consolidated in one centralized platform. So what we have developed at Verte, and we are trying to enhance it and every day making changes, is one, we connect to all the demand channels, 99 plus demand channels, or it could be their store. We connect and making sure all the orders are captured, consolidated in one place. Now, similarly, we also connect to all the inventory systems. It could be our own fulfillment centers, which you're seeing behind, or it could be fulfillment centers from anybody, any other cooperative partner that we are working with, or it could be their store, their other 3PLs. We connect. So now we have the order, now we have the inventory. Now we have the customer information as well, because customer is ordering from different demand channels. So now in our unified repository, I have which customer added what product, which demand channel it came from. Now I'm going to orchestrate, okay, where is the customer, which is the right fulfillment center to fulfill. I fulfill the orders from that. So now when I go to the supplier or manufacturer, or the brand is going to manufacturer, a more detailed information to make an effective planning. Now with the combined information, I'm able to really predict how much to procure, what to procure, where to distribute, where to store, what price to publish. And sometimes it be kitted. A iPhone goes with AirPods well, or AirPods goes with a battery case. Finding that right mixture of kits based on the customer, where they shop, how to ship, how much safety stock I need to plan, when to ship, what product to focus, right? Providing that information more predictive to the sellers as well. Other aspect from a brand's perspective, making it more prescriptive. Tell them, hey, where to sell, what to sell, when to sell, whom to sell, how to sell, which product is profitable, how do you deliver better, which is sustainable or not, then making those decisions effectively, what to promote. So making that unified commerce platform is providing both the predictive, prescriptive aspect of it, so that there's a good demand prediction, good demand shaping, and able to segment the inventory well, plan the inventory well, plan the orders well, serve the customers well, and then even providing a prescriptive solution from a customer perspective. So all those are encapsulated. I know I told a lot of things, but end of the day, that is the complexity that happens behind the scene. We simplify and encapsulate from a brand or a customer perspective. Going back to my original aspect, making a simple physical internet. You as a customer, you as a brand, don't worry about the back end. All you say is, this is your product, from brand coming to sell on a platform. You come and say which platform you want to sell. Just tell us that, and we will do all those things. Just say this is a product. We will take care of everything. From a customer perspective, he's just going and shopping, he's getting product delivered.
That's awesome. Grant, I think that gives you a good holistic understanding. So think of like the past year and supply shocks. How did you guys experience last year on March 13th and the 90 days thereafter? It seemed like everybody rode this roller coaster. I'm curious, there were so many shocks to inventories, to retailers, to shipping and product being out to sea or not being received. So I'm sure you also learned a ton of lessons that probably can help you improve the platform.
Absolutely. So one biggest thing was it was a challenge, but at the same time opportunity as well. Because of we were already there, our platform was ready, our systems and the solution was in play. We were able to help retailers who couldn't even open the store to migrate to be online, digital. So all we did was we basically took inventory out of their current facilities because it's locked down, they cannot ship, or their stores were closed, their inventory is held. So they send the inventory to us so that we can process and send them. We can onboard them quickly and ship them from here. It was good for us from a business perspective because we were ready and we were able to cater to that. At the same time, they had challenges because they didn't know where the inventory was before. We tried to solve the problem by getting them connected because our systems are easily deployable. We can deploy it in our own fulfillment centers, or we can deploy it in their store or in their fulfillment center and connect to them. We were able to connect them easily, onboard them, so their inventory visibility increased. That way they're able to manage. What we couldn't control where they were sourcing. We gave recommendation because the challenges was we knew what we knew. We really didn't anticipate, especially for certain brands, because we are just providing service from a platform to connect to different channels and fulfill. Sourcing was handled by them. Now that's where we learned we need to provide a better sourcing model to them. A sourcing solution, we developed it over a short period of time and helping them to improve in that area, helping them the inbound transportation. We are more focused on outbound execution and inbound, I would say, not that heavy, right? So now we realize that the better experience is not only providing an outbound execution, also focus on inbound sourcing, enhancing the capability there, both from a process and systems perspective. And that's a big lessons learned. And that's where we are making a lot of next R&D investments into that. That's where the prescriptive supply chain and the directional predictive supply chain really scaled up. Now we'll see these as we go along and how they plan for peak and how we learned from last year. Sometimes you need to have a spike. Now we need to normalize. Instead, this is your abrupt spike, and system introduce those data points and input points so that we can make a better decision. So that's a lessons learned from our standpoint. We have not only focused on execution capability, our outbound order processing, focus on inbound sourcing, and enhance that as well.
And is that in any way related to first mile optimization?
First mile, although it's more focused, yes. So first mile is two ways. First mile is more from a supplier to the initial hub or distribution. We are focusing on that and improvising. But if you do a reverse play for returns, your customers are your suppliers.
Got it. And that makes perfect sense. I was thinking almost like from the manufacturer to the distributor, because some companies do their own distribution. That would be something that many may not be as cognizant of, as they've manufactured first and distributed second, and then maybe not adjusted along the way.
Correct.
And drones in the warehouse checking inventory. It's funny, I hear about that and I see a little bit about it, but I feel like so much of this should already be taken care of with warehouse automation and robotic systems that it seems like that's wouldn't be necessary.
It depends on type of warehouse that is there. If you are using a traditional rack, case, pallet storage, then drones make sense because that's how it can try to go do the inventory capture, and they're coming with innovative technologies there. We use a different type of robotics. We use two types of robotics, one called a person to goods and a goods to person. In a goods to person robotics, if you know about Kiva robotics, if you have heard about, which Amazon uses, similarly we use a different robotics.
Well, you have one in your background, right?
Yeah. So that robotics as their own confined system. You put the inventory in, system knows where the inventory is, it manages the slotting, it knows everything, and it brings the goods to you. So you really don't worry about inventory. I mean, you do inventory count, but the drones are not going to help you. right? In that aspect of it. Second, we use a person-to-good system, which is more like associates walking with the robots, and the robots guiding them to pick. Maybe there's drones can be used to cycle count, but maybe that's the next level, because there are also technology coming where you actually wear glass, like a Google Glass or any other glass, which basically drives and confirms the inventory and then counting. There will be a continuous evolution in that. In a traditional shopping experience, you actually go to a physical store. So your physical experience and your digital experience was happening at the same time. In the store, you see different marketing ads and everything. What has changed is now the online, your digital experience and your physical experience is separated. Your fulfillment center comes exactly in between as the extension of the last mile and extension of your customer order. It has to operate at the highest optimization level, highest efficiency level. Previously, cases in, pallets in, cases out to the retail store. You know exact milk runs, you know exactly what time, what date. Now the orders are coming and changes, the profile changes. There is no across different marketplaces, across different channels. You really don't know when your orders are going to peak, slow down. Your fulfillment has to have a most efficient way to operate. I'm forced to say the only way is automation. That automation has to be non-conventional. It has to be disruptive. Disruptive could be a robotics. It could be even a conveyor system. It could be a Google Glass. It could be a drone. There will be a continuous evolution in that area, such a way that you are able to operate your warehouse in a more prescriptive manner. You have all the world of automation. You get a product in, you get an order in, machines doing all the work, and then you're shipping a product. That doesn't mean there's a loss in labor, but the labor has been retrained to do different jobs. It's labor now moved to urban micro centers. There'll be different types of centers. So that's a change. My point to your question on drone, I know I took a long way to answer that question.
I love it.
Because there's not a simple answer to that. Drones going to occupy the warehouse, is there a benefit? I would say yes. When we are there, we don't know, because there's many technologies coming in. People are going to try different ways. Each technology, we need to find the gap eligibility, product process eligibility. Some operations drones might be good. Some operations you don't need drones. Some operations Google Glass is good. Some operations you don't need Google Glass. So based on each processes, and the focus is optimization. What optimizes the best way of process? And implement that solution.
Grant, when some clients will ask about warehouse automation or robotics and how it applies to them, what their product is, how big it is, their velocity, and how many they're bringing in and out determines so much.
What they can actually use in the warehouse.
For many, it's more about their product and their velocity.
It goes back to that experience. I mean, the online, if you think about the current metrics, I said in one of the recent publications, the reason customers choose online is because of fast shipping, almost 76%. You are not going to get a fast shipping if you have an old traditional way of picking and processing. It's impossible to do that. So there has to be continuous improvements in your when I say last mile delivery, it also includes the warehouse, because again, connecting the digital experience to the physical experience, your warehouse needs to be the most efficient, because that's how it connects to the delivery and delivery to the customer. People are buying online is because of the fast shipping and the delivery process, which is under 6%. You have no choice. You have to make improvements.
Padhu, I'm curious, being a real estate broker, we deal with the C-level all the time and help them make the warehouse specific decisions and go on searches. I'm curious if you have a role within your team when it comes to opening new warehouses, when it comes to managing existing ones, footprints, the size, and different commitments. Because on one hand, I hear founder, and founder is usually someone that has a hand in things. When I think of like IT related, sometimes that has to do with the systems that manage. And then usually we'll find CEO, and sometimes we'll delegate to CFO or to the next rung down when it comes to facility related decisions. So I'm curious what your role or experience has been, just so that we can learn a little bit more about how you think of real estate and how it's relates to you and your role within the firm.
Sure. It's a good question. We have a fulfillment center and we apply the questions you ask when we're sourcing for a Word fulfillment network partner, because we just cannot build continuously fulfillment center. We just need to leverage others in the market and real estate in the market and our partners. First is our platform provides a broader ability to look at views from a different parameter perspective. First, we understand what is the product requirements. Going back to your first aspect, the cold chain coming up. We have a lot of partners who are operating cold chain warehouses. First, we look at, okay, what is the product? What type of product and which will fit in what type of facility? So that product feasibility match. Next, we look at more of an inventory and a facility capacity. Our smaller footprint, it definitely cannot hold a lot of quantity of refrigerators. You need a bigger warehouse, and if I'm having a refrigerator warehouse, it's so big, it might be not economical to have a lot of small big modules. We just look at from all other perspectives, whether I'm using only for storage, looking at geo proximity, looking at contracts from a transportation as well. I'll give you an example. Last year, although we were ready and everything, FedEx just refused to come and pick up because they didn't have capacity in this particular Southeast region. They didn't have capacity. So looking at what all the transportation companies serve there, make it more of a common sense perspective. The velocity of the orders is going to come, looking at the asset details, looking at the facility, how many shifts they operate, what storage locations they have, what attributes of the product we already talked about. And then understanding the ability for the warehouse to do an returns process or an e-commerce. If it's an existing facility, what level of automation they have. If I have to add a new automation, what it would take. Whether it's non-automated, what is the challenge, the change management, and how much the capital involved there. Also looking at the contracts, because sometimes the contracts could be 10 years and we are coming there almost the end of the 8th year. When we are selecting some facility, we need to think about long-term perspective, how much duration they have, what is the ability they can manage, and then checking the buying patterns from a real estate model perspective. Hey, if it is a lot of small products, does it make sense to source smaller, denser fulfillment centers? If it's a bigger product, then I need to go for a broader, bigger fulfillment centers. So all those things goes into that thought process. What we also have in our software, which tracks everything: capacity, chefs, people, location types, zones, product feasibility, and then we basically look into data. Then we also plan for billing and invoicing. That's an onboarding process that we evaluate and onboard our customers. And then when an order comes in, it finds the best facility to fulfill. And the pricing, right? Pricing as well, what it takes to find the right mix and match. Those are the broader aspects that we evaluate in selecting a partner.
That makes perfect sense because it fits into the platform that you operate. If you were expanding into the Pacific Northwest as an example, is that something where you would expand through a 3PL's facility, or one where you would get your own and then you would operate it for your customers?
In the future, our roadmap is to expand, whether we go through partners or our own facility and put out technology. Even if it's a partner, they are using our technology. So it automatically part of the network. It's simple plug and play. And because we have the demand channel connectors, we have the unified commerce platform where we unify all the data. We have order management, which orchestrates, and we own fulfillment system solutions, WMS. So the partners can operate our WMS, we can all integrate to their WMS. So it becomes seamless. Now it becomes whether we have to own the building or whether we have to run it or somebody can run it, they can put a technology. Indirectly, you are still managing it, since indirectly we'll still have visibility to execute it.
I found it is so tight right now that people are coming up with different arrangements where they may go to a third-party logistics warehouse. They may buy instead of lease, or they may try and expand within some of their other landlords' portfolios. So I found for everybody, they have to answer this question for themselves. Not only do we just lease it ourselves, but do we outsource to third parties? And how do we get the space we need? It's difficult out there for a lot of companies. So that's why I asked. The last couple questions, I generally just try and understand how people lease their own warehouses, because usually it can help us understand the challenges people are facing out there, because it's tough to find warehouses of Class A products, so distribution centers. They're hard to find. The ones that are being built are being committed to sometimes before they're even completed. And so we've had to go through some alternative methods for sourcing distribution space in some high barrier to entry markets. I didn't know if you guys had a challenge there too, or if you found more people come to you because they've experienced their own challenges.
Unfortunately, I've not personally experienced that, because our focus has always been finding warehouses within our network or already operating warehouses, and just finding that mix of our technology and managing that gap. New warehouses, I have personally not encountered. I know that's a challenge. In fact, glancing through your book as well, it's like 125 million square foot for every $1 billion of e-commerce sales. If you think about it, future, it is going to be close to $200 billion in sales, 14% up in e-commerce. Then multiply by your metric of 125 million square foot. There is not enough concrete.
Yeah.
That's the reason we said, okay, we will make these warehouse spaces as the hubs, and then convert the retail space, the JCPenney's of the world, and many other open spaces, into a micro urban fulfillment centers, create an urban spoke model, and then try to manage and deliver that.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. And then the last question, I guess, is just, you guys are in our neighborhood. Are you in Orange County, or could you imagine the Inland Empire being in your future?
Yes, we are going to expand in those areas in future. Right now, we primarily operate in McDonough and in Atlanta and the area. A partner network in Maroloma and in that area. So that is next is where we will probably explore.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time, Padhu. It was great to learn more. And I know for Grant, we had 2 minutes while you were logging back in. So he was just saying that there are a lot of things that he hadn't heard of before that he was just starting to learn more about, that you helped him kind of crystallize and clarify a little bit. I imagine a lot of clients and other people listening too, that's not everybody is on the cutting edge of this part of the market. They hear about the headlines that they read in the papers, but they don't really understand all that goes on behind the scenes. So I feel like that was a great illustration.
Thank you. I'm happy to help. If any of your clients need any of our help or services, I'm happy to, and then it's always a partnership.
Cool, Padhu. I think that's it for now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Padhu. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.